During the holiday season, we know how busy it gets. All it does is magnify whatever dynamic you have with your partner tenfold, maybe even more, okay? Why is that? There's all of the mental load, figuring out gifts, where are we going, how are we getting there, are we hosting, all the events that we're going to, school activities, family visits, like dealing with in-laws if you have a difficult relationship with them, boundary setting. That is very mentally, emotionally, and even physically taxing. And so whatever dynamic you have going on with your partner right now, the holiday season is like a pressure cooker. So if your communication skills are lacking as a couple, then you're going to feel that.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today, we're going to be setting you up for a better holiday season. Now, this season comes every year, and whether you love it, hate it, a mix of both, I want to help you end your experience of feeling resentful through this season, feeling like this really tries your marriage and the stress comes out on top. I want this holiday season to be the first of many seasons where you actually start to enjoy it, feel like it's helping your marriage grow, and the first season that you remember what it's all about. So if the holidays keep sneaking up on you every single year and turn you into almost like this logistics monster, you're super serious and there's just this endless list of things to do where instead of feeling connected like you appear on your family photos, on your Christmas cards, you are feeling like, I need a break from my family. I need a break from my husband. I need a vacation by myself or with my girlfriends. I just need to get the heck out of here because I am so burned out. I'm so overwhelmed and I just can't do anything else right now. Then this episode is for you. And even if you haven't reached that point and you just want to improve your experience of the holiday season, then stay tuned, okay? Because I want to show you exactly what you can do to turn things around with your partner so that you can truly go into the holiday feeling prepared and confident that you will make it out, not only just surviving, but also maybe even moving your way towards thriving and knowing that every season after this can become easier and better and more enjoyable. And most importantly, I want you to feel like you can navigate this season feeling more aligned, more connected, and more sane. So in this episode, I'm going to share specific talking points for a conversation you can have to plan for the holidays with your partner, sample scripts to try on in specific situations where you might need some support, and decisions that will be helpful for you to make together so the season supports your values as a family, also doesn't feel like it's sucking up all your time, and it is helping your relationship deepen. So here's why this matters. During the holiday season, we know how busy it gets, right? All it does is magnify whatever dynamic you have with your partner tenfold, maybe even more, okay? Why is that? There's all of the mental load that's needed to execute all of the things, right? Figuring out gifts, figuring out how much to spend, figuring out where are we going, how are we getting there, are we hosting, all the things that come with hosting, all the events that we're going to, school activities, Christmas pajamas, all of the things, right? And not to mention family visits, right? Like dealing with in-laws if you have a difficult relationship with them, the scheduling of everything, boundary setting. That is very mentally, emotionally, and even physically taxing. And so, whatever dynamic you have going on with your partner right now, it's kind of like going back to the newborn phase where you're tired and you have no energy and you just have no bandwidth to deal with any extra stuff. And this is very much like that, right? The holiday season is like a pressure cooker. So if your communication skills are lacking as a couple, then you're going to feel that, right? Or if the connection isn't consistent, then you're also going to feel that. So, first off, we need to figure out what it is that we are wanting, align with our values, and then handle the logistics second. Oftentimes, we kind of just jump straight into logistics, and then we find ourselves being really reactive during the holiday season, making a lot of like last minute decisions that maybe aren't aligned with what it is that we want to experience and our values. And so, we first have to set the vision and think about, well, how do I want my holiday experience to go this year, right? Because your experience is only going to be as healthy as your vision and your boundaries. And so we have to think about, what is our vision for this holiday season? What are our boundaries? Instead of being faced with having a boundary crossed and you're like, oh, I realize that I don't like that. What if you can figure that out first so that you can take some preventative measures and not be put into that situation? Or if you are put into that situation, you know exactly what you are going to say and how you feel about it because you have given it some thought. You have given yourself time to reflect and raise your self-awareness around this season. So the goal is to move from defaulting to, oh, this is what we did last year, and feel like you're kind of stuck into a routine, over to being more intentional. Well, what is it that we want for this year? Knowing that there is flexibility, knowing that you guys are in charge of what it is that you experience. And so that means you get to have a say, right? So what do you want to experience this year? How is it that you want to feel this year? And then so on and so forth. Okay. And so setting the foundation of this, I want to just like briefly go over my peace method, which is my communication method that I teach to my clients. This is going to help you have a more productive conversation with your partner so that it can come out with a plan for you two rather than feeling like, oh, shoot, we just spiraled and we didn't get anywhere with it. Okay. So let's set the rules of engagement. So first off, make sure that it's a good time for both of you to talk. Don't ambush your partner. Don't assume that just because he looks like he's not doing anything, that it's a good time for him to talk, right? Give him a heads up that you want to have a talk, figure out a time that works for both of you to talk about this. Give it like an hour or so, and maybe even set the rule that you guys don't go on your phones and you give each other your full attention. Go old school, put it on, pen and paper, or pull up your laptop and pull up Google Docs or whatever you like to type in, right? And then secondly, the PEACE method. So PEACE is an acronym that I came up with. So P is for pause, E is for express, A is for acknowledge, C is for collaborate, and E is for embrace. So pause means take time individually to gather your thoughts, figure out, okay, well, what is it that I'm wanting out of this, so that you're clear on what you are wanting to achieve out of this season, how you want to feel during the season, what challenges you foresee coming up against, what you are really wanting to happen to make this season enjoyable for you, so that you have the clarity to bring into the conversation and you can just be calm about it. You're not trying to think your way through it while your partner's talking or making stuff up on the fly. You can go into the conversation grounded and knowing, okay, this is exactly how I feel, what I think, what I want, what I need. And these are the things that I want to avoid. These are the things that I want to be sure that we have a plan for. Okay. So make sure you can pause and give yourself that space to figure your part out before going into the conversation. And then next, express, right? This is the communicating part. you need to share what you have reflected on and what you have come out of that first process understanding about yourself. So now you need to express it in a way that will not leave your partner wanting to leave the conversation, disengage, go into their coping mechanisms of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? So that looks like using I statements. So we're not pointing the finger, we're not making any assumptions, we're just talking about what we know to be true, which is just our perspective and our truth, right? And then, of course, leaving space for them, understanding, okay, well, what are your thoughts? How do you want to feel? What is it that you want to have happen this season? And what are some challenges you foresee happening so that you guys can truly work together as partners? A is for acknowledge, which means like validate each other, right? Validate the things that you're both sharing and how you're both feeling and the challenges that might come up, and really show up as a partner who is there to listen, there to understand, there to support and work through it together. Acknowledge the parts that you may have played in past seasons that have led to it being stressful, so that you can do things differently, whether you're doing less things, whether you're handling it differently or delegating, things like that. And then next is collaborate, right? As a team, you should be collaborating. So make decisions together. Be honest about the capacity that you guys have and what can fit into the capacity, instead of trying to fit everything in and wonder why you're getting burned out and overwhelmed and becoming this like monster of a version of you that's always angry and irritable and serious, and you're not actually present in the moment. Okay. And then last but not least, embrace. After the conversation, make sure you just close it out by doing something that feels like you guys are in it to win it together and you're a couple, whether that's giving a hug, whether that's giving feedback and gratitude for how the conversation went, or doing something fun, right? Like, don't just leave the conversation, okay, like break, as if you're just business partners, right? Remember that you guys are a couple and you need to do something to connect and seal it in. Okay. With that said, a great way to approach this conversation is by saying, hey, I want to try doing things differently this holiday season. I want to try to see what we can do to go into this holiday season as a team, and with the goal that we enjoy it, that we feel less stressed. And I would love to map out what that looks like together and share what matters most to each of us and things that we can do to reduce the stress and come out still liking each other, still having fun. When's a good time for us to talk about this? Okay. So that's a great way to open that conversation up and just throw the idea out there. Again, you don't want to ambush and like trap them into a 1 hour conversation. That's not going to go over well. So just throw the idea out there, see what they say, figure out a time that works for you. I'm sure that your partner's going to be fully on board with a more enjoyable holiday season. Okay. So feel free to use that or workshop it to that it sounds like you, but either way, that's a really good starting point to initiate that conversation. And know that it doesn't have to be like one single conversation. You can do it in chunks depending on the capacity that you guys have and how much time you have. Okay. All right. Now on to the meat of this episode. Or as my tennis coach says, the meat and potatoes. Here's a great planning agenda for talking points for this conversation that can help you iron out all the things that can potentially go astray during this holiday season that have led to past experiences not going well. So hang on tight. There's a lot of them. There are, 12 points. Okay. And I will turn this into a PDF, which I will include in the show notes if you want to check that out. Instead of taking notes and you just want to listen and kind of just marinate in it, I will have a guide for you to download if you're more of a visual person. Okay. So no worries. All right. So first things first, the vision, right? Talk about what you want to feel during this season. Like, it could be 2 feelings, it could be 3 feelings, whatever it is. This is what's going to set the vibe. This is what's going to help anchor you guys into making easy decisions on whether to do something or not to do something, whether to change your approach on how you do something so that it can be aligned. So for example, it could be like relaxed, could be a feeling, joyful, connected, right? Those are some examples. Figure out what yours are, okay? And then also come up with a feeling that you don't want to feel, something that you want to avoid, like burned out, right? That could be a common one. And then decide a theme for the season together so that you guys can almost have like a mantra or a word to focus on as you navigate the planning and the logistics and all of that, right? Like, does this meet this? Is there a way for this to meet this? So again, it serves as like a way for you to anchor into being aligned with how you intend to experience this season as a family. Second, your capacity and non-negotiables. Think of what you realistically have the energy, the time, and the bandwidth for. Okay. This is how we can trap ourselves into being burned out when we don't think about this. So I want you to be super honest with yourself. And if you want like bonus points, even figure out where you're going to be in your menstrual cycle, like which phase you're going to be in, and plan accordingly, okay? Because that does play a big part, along with things that you might have that are non negotiable, like particular events, like recitals that you guys have planned, performances, specific events that you know you want to go to, um, like family events that you for sure are aligned with going to, or if you are religious or have any cultural practices, any of those that you think are non negotiable, maybe even throwing in a date night or two or three. Okay. So figure out what your non negotiables are. Like, we are a yes for this and we definitely want to do this, not, oh, we got invited to these like 10 parties and we should go. That's how we get burned out. Okay. Think about, okay, we got invited to these things, and which ones are we thinking align with our values? Which ones are we excited to go to? Which ones can we handle and are going to actually commit to? Okay. Third thing is budget and gifting philosophy. This is a big one because we can get really carried away with the feeling of generosity and just the excitement and joy that we get from gift giving. And so, talk ahead of time. What is the amount that we want to spend? What are the categories that we want to spend in? Like, for example, my philosophy on gifting to the kids is something to read, something to wear, something they need, something they want. That helps keep me anchored so that I don't get carried away. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get carried away, but it definitely reels it in for sure because I can get carried away. Also, don't forget about stockings. If you do that, I always forget about stockings and I kind of just put all the money into gifts and I'm like, shoot, right? And then I end up spending more. So that's a reminder for you. Also, agree on per person limits, right? Like for the kids, for your spouse, for your parents, for your siblings, for your nieces and nephews, for your friends, whatever. Think about what the limit will be per type of person, okay? And then also like your gifting style. What are you going to emphasize this season? Is it, more high quality, meaningful gifts, but we're going to give fewer? Is it that you want to have a lot of gifts for the kids to open and so you buy lower cost gifts? Are you wanting to emphasize experiences or handmade things, right? Think about what is the theme that you're going to go with this year. And also decide who's going to track these gifts. Who's going to track what gift to buy who, where to buy it from, how much is being spent on each person, how much is left over, things like that. Okay. And of course, come up with rules, right? Like, okay, who are we gifting gifts to this year? You can even get creative and do Secret Santa, right? For example, here in Georgia, we now live super close to our co-parents, which means that altogether we have 11 people. And of those 11 people, we have 7 kids between the two families. So that's a lot of gift giving, right? We want everyone to receive a gift. And so we came up with last year to do Secret Santa amongst the kids. The kids get to each pick a person, and then they also get to experience the joy of finding a gift for that person and giving it to them and seeing them, happy, and also they get to receive a gift. And so that's a great way to not break the bank, but also still kind of have that feeling of sharing and togetherness. Okay. Next is calendaring and travel. So, like I said, you don't have to attend every single thing you're invited to. Okay. You can feel honored and still say no. And I'm going to share a script later on how to do that in a way that won't feel like it's icky. Okay. So, lock those events that you're for sure going to, the work parties, the travel things, the events that you are definitely going to, the school stuff, the recitals, whatever. And then also talk about travel decisions. Are you going somewhere? Are you staying? Are you hosting? If you're hosting, what's the max number of nights that you're going to allow people to stay with you? Or is it better for them to stay in a hotel? And if you're going somewhere, are you driving? Are you flying? Are you going to add in recovery time to have downtime for yourself and your family so you're not just jumping from one thing to the next? Okay, all things to consider. Next is family expectations and boundaries. So, talk about what expectations both sides of your family have. What are they hoping for? What are some challenges that might come up? And then consider, well, how do we feel about that as a family? According to our theme and feelings that we want to feel, the desired experience that we want to have, what are we willing to commit to? If you are going to say no, this is a good script to follow. For example, we're going to keep Christmas morning at home. We'd love to see you Christmas Eve from these hours. Or we can come over or have you over after this time. Okay? The way you come across is going to matter. You two have already made the decision that this is what's going to happen. So it's just a matter of sharing. You're setting your boundaries. This is what we're doing. This is when we're available. If it works for them, great. Maybe they'll change their plans. Maybe it'll work for them and it'll all work out. Or maybe it's like, okay, well, we can hang out on a different day then. Okay? Put your family first because that's what matters. That's what's going to shape your experience. Next thing is your traditions. Decide which ones you're going to keep, which ones you're going to start, and what you're going to skip. Okay? And align that back to your values, your capacity, what you want to feel this season, what you don't want to feel this season. Like I said, you're not going to be able to do every single thing. And especially in the age of social media, you're going to be tempted to do a bunch of things. Align it back to your values, and that's going to help you filter out what's really important and what's not important. Okay? So you've got to prioritize. Next is hosting and hospitality. If you're hosting, consider who's on the guest list. Is it going to be a potluck, or are you catering it? Are you cooking everything? What's the start time? What's the stop time? Who's doing what in your family? You should not do it all. Let people help. Delegate. Okay? Share the load. And then also decide if you're going somewhere, figure out a signal with your spouse on how you're going to communicate with each other that it's time to go. You've had enough. You're tired. You're not feeling well. Whatever the reason is, the kids are starting to go crazy and they need to get home to sleep. Come up with a plan. Okay? Next is division of labor. Think about this in 4 buckets: plan, purchase, prep, and day of. Okay? So who's going to do the planning? Who's going to do the shopping? Who's going to do the prepping? Who's going to execute the day of stuff, right? And this can be broken into tasks for these buckets, and it can be assigned to different people. And you can assign this according to strengths that people have, according to what people would prefer to do, and then you kind of just cherry pick the rest that people don't want to do. Don't just assume that, oh, this is a blue job, this is a pink job. And what I mean by that is like the traditional, like, oh, it's cooking, that means it goes to the woman. Or, oh, this is taking out the trash, so this is the guy. No. Okay. Take the list, split it up, decide together how you're going to do that, and make sure that each task has an owner, like one single owner, which means that they're in charge of it from end to end. That doesn't mean that other people can't chip in and help, but This one person is responsible for this task from end to end, start to finish. They're responsible for figuring out who's doing what of it and that it is done to completion. And of course, talk about the due date, right? Talk about when it is ideal to have it done so that no one starts panicking and wondering about things. And of course, communication is key, right? Keep each other up to date on what's happening and the status of things. Next is kids and emotional needs. Okay, how many times have you done things and then you're like, shoot, our kids are so dysregulated right now, and now we're having to deal with meltdowns and tantrums and overstimulation, and now this is not fun for anyone. Okay, so consider what each of your kids need. What do they need? What's their capacity? How much can they handle? What will help them enjoy the process better? Like, what's going to help things go easier for you? Okay. So think about boundaries that you have. Like, are they in need of a lot of sleep? Maybe you need to be strict about bedtime and call things off at a certain time. How much sugar can they tolerate? Do they start bouncing off the walls and acting crazy in a way that will ruin the experience for people? Maybe you need to manage that. How about screen time? Sometimes we can be looser about screens around this time because we don't want to say no, or because we want to keep them busy so we can get stuff done. Consider how that affects them and have your boundaries around that. And then how much downtime do they need so that we're not running them ragged and wonder why they're not acting like their normal selves and they're a little more harder to manage. Okay. Next is self-care and couple time. Think about what the minimum amount of self-care is that you need for yourself, for your partner, and also how much time do you guys need to connect, right? Protect a night or two during the week, every week during the season, to make sure that you're connecting. Doesn't mean that you have to go out on a date, but just having intentional time together, watching a show together, doing a shared activity together, or connecting physically or emotionally, right? Make sure you're scheduling that time in so that you are remembering that you guys are a couple. It's when we start just having our tunnel vision, thinking all the things that we have to do, that we can start to disconnect from our partner because we are so laser focused on all the logistics that we're forgetting that this is a season of connecting. And going back to your feelings, like how are you wanting to feel? Connecting with yourself and your partner is going to aid in your capacity to regulate yourself and enjoy the season and stay true to your values and your theme words. Okay. Next thing is your conflict plan. Can you come up with a code word to say, oh, we're hitting up against some conflict here. Let's pause and sort this out. Or if you're noticing like, oh, we're getting stressed out, come with a code word, because this is a stressful time, right? There's a lot of things to handle and manage and navigate. So come up with the word so that you can do a quick reset with each other. Like, hey, this is a reminder that we're on the same team. We are working together. Let's breathe. We got this. We can handle this, right? Or maybe even commit to when things start to get out of hand between you two, you can say, okay, let's sleep on this and talk about it the next day. Because the last thing you want to do is navigate conflict when you are tired, overstimulated, and you have no capacity to truly be present and engage in the conversation. Okay. Don't force an argument or a disagreement because that's just going to end poorly. Last but not least, I want you to debrief. So after the holiday season is said and done, maybe a few days, a week or so after the new year, I want you to sit down and talk about what worked, what didn't work, what you learned about each other, what you learned about yourselves, what you learned about how you two work together, and almost like have this lessons learned kind of conversation so you can carry it forward the next time the holidays roll around. Okay. So you know what to repeat, what you know to look out for, what you know to proactively prevent. Okay. So do those. Those are great talking points for your conversation. And as promised, here are some sample scripts that I think would be helpful for you through this season. So regarding money, I want us to be generous and responsible with this total being our budget. How do we want to allocate this by category so that we can feel proud of ourselves come January? Regarding declining an event, we're simplifying this year, so we can't make it. Thank you so much for inviting us. Let's plan a date sometime in January to get together, or like a tradition that you've done typically, but something that you might not want to do this year. I love the cookie swap. I'm at capacity for this season. Can we skip this year and bring it back next year? Or can we do this? Or you can invite them to a tradition that you are keeping. Okay. The division of labor. I'll own teachers' gifts end to end. Can you own our travel logistics, including pet care and car maintenance? Okay. That's an easy way to go about that. Let's talk about red flags and green flags for this season. So red flags would be having vague roles, right? The whole like, we'll figure it out stance. No, figure it out ahead of time. Okay. That's going to go so much smoother. Everyone's going to have clear expectations and there's not going to be any confusion or resentment there. Same for budget. Figure that out. Don't like, we'll see it your way there. Or if you're noticing that your partner isn't doing things your way, please do not say it's just easier if I do it myself. Okay. If you notice something, communicate it and also let them own it. Okay. As long as the end goal is the same, don't worry about how they get to it. They will figure it out. Okay. That's how they're going to get better at it anyway. They need the practice. Guilt-based shoulds, that's also a red flag. Make sure that whatever decisions you make are aligned with the values and the feelings that you want to curate for this season. And make sure you build in recovery time, downtime for your family, time where you're not doing anything, time to just be together and be bums on the couch, watch a movie, right? Cozy up. Green flags, having boundaries around start times, stop times, right? How much you can handle, having an owner for each task, having defined values and theme words for the season, having firm boundaries and scripts to go along with it so that you're comfortable with saying it. You can even practice with each other or in your head so that when it comes up, you're already well rehearsed. Protecting your time for yourself and your time as a couple so that you can stay grounded and connected through this season. And then, of course, having your debrief meetings scheduled. All right. Now, if you are in a special case where, for me, like I'm a part of a blended family and I also was brought up in a blended family, so I'm well aware of how this goes. Make sure that you keep your kid in mind. Okay. Every decision should be centered around the kid. Even if you would rather have some things a certain way, think about your kid first. Okay. Decide what's fair, have early conversations with your co-parents, and plan things out so that there is no confusion of when things are happening. Come up with a time where transitions will happen and just keep everyone in the know and keep it fair. Okay. Doesn't matter how you feel about your co-parent. This is about your child. All right. If you have different faiths in your family, think about creating a shared ritual, whatever that means. Talk about the importance of each of your traditions so that you can learn from it, and then schedule time to honor both if you can. If you have a tight budget, emphasize experiences like I mentioned, Secret Santa, potluck, handmade gifts, right? Be clear on what is enough so that you don't feel like it's never enough, right? Decide ahead of time, what do you consider to be enough? All right. So my invitation to you is to do this as early as possible, right? Obviously, if it's related to Thanksgiving, do that really soon. As for Christmas, I invite you to do this before December 1st, if you can, okay? Pick a theme, set a budget, anchor in those non-negotiable dates, choose whatever you're going to do, what you're not going to do, what you're going to skip, and set that ritual of connecting with yourself and your partner on a weekly basis and decide whether you're hosting or not hosting and who's in charge of what. Okay. What I want you to remember is you're not just planning events. You're not just going to events. You're designing your future memories. You are designing how your family is going to feel this season. And when I say you, I don't just mean you. I mean you and your partner. Okay. This doesn't just fall on you. I don't want you to feel like the emotional, mental, and physical load is all on you because you're the mom. That is not true. Okay. As parents, you are curating this season. You're going to curate how they're going to remember, how you're going to remember this season. So be mindful about this. Be intentional. Okay. And of course, if you know yourselves and you know that you have recurring resentment during the holidays, but also throughout the year, and you are worried about how the season is going to go, you're worried about whether you're just going to continue feeling more and more disconnected, you're just going to get into more and more arguments, then it's probably time to consider marriage coaching. Okay. Book a clarity call. Let's talk. Let's figure out how we can get you guys to have more of a solid foundation to work off of so that you know how to navigate conflict in a healthy way, so that you find yourself motivated to connect. Okay, so that's exactly what coaching can help you with. Book that clarity call so we can talk and get to know each other and figure out how marriage coaching can help you. With that said, if you love this episode, I also want to invite you to go check out my free masterclass. It's called The Number One Conversation Couples Need to Have But Aren't. It's very much similar to this, but for your whole life, okay? Not just holiday related, but you can use what you learned from this masterclass for how to approach everything in your lives together, okay? So I'll pop that link in the show notes along with the clarity call. Take what you think will help you, leave the rest. And I just hope that you have the best holiday season ever. I hope that you have what will be just the beginning of better holiday seasons to come. And I'm here if you need support. Go check out that PDF that I'm going to put in the show notes that will list the talking points and the little mini scripts that I shared on this episode, as well as the link to the masterclass and the link to the clarity call. Okay. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, share this episode on your Instagram stories and tag me so I can give you a shout out. If you love this show, thank you so much for listening. Please consider leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. I would so appreciate that. That's what helps the show grow and helps more people like you find the show and get the support that they need. And that's all I have for you today. I will catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.